And to discuss more about the role of power abuse in sexual assault cases and how we can support the victims, joining us this morning online is Mardiasih, who is a writer and gender equality activist. Good morning, Bakalis. Thank you for joining us here today.
Good morning, Mas Paul and Mardiasih.
Hi there. So let's start by perhaps could you describe what does the term power abuse mean and how does it relate to these sexual assault cases?
Okay, the root of sexual cases is always about power abuse. It is not because the timing, it is not because the clothing, it is not because the place of the actions, but always about the power abuse that someone has. Power abuse is like somebody entitled with power abuse. We have our, somebody always entitled with the power. We as a human have the power. For example, our degree, our educational background, our descendants, our knowledge, and our position in our professional job, for examples. But for good people, power actually become the privilege to do the good thing, but not for the perpetrators. The perpetrators use the power that they had to do the bad thing, that is a sexual assault, for example, to manipulate the victims or to repress somebody or to abuse somebody with their powers. Like for the victims cannot doing anything to fight them back, and like they gain benefit from the victims and etc.
Okay, so basically we're talking about people in a position of authority. How often does this, when it comes to sexual assault cases, how much of these sexual assault cases involve people or those perpetrators in a position of authority?
Yes, nowadays with the rising of the news of sexual cases happen in Indonesia, we know that sexual assault cases happen everywhere, in educational institutions, in religious institutions, and also in government body, in public places area. Actually, sexual assault cases happen everywhere, in workplace, etc. So we know that the authority, for example, a teacher doing sexual assault to the student, lecturer doing sexual assault to the college student, and then the boss in workplace doing sexual assault to the staff, and then the father from the daughter or the grandfather from the daughter doing sexual assault for their wife or their the daughter, and etc. It's all about the authority that somebody has actually, because the authority is like, for example, for the husband. They consider they have power because yes, I'm a husband, and according to the religion rules or according to cultural rules, I have the leader position for you, my wife.
Head of the family.
So I have to control you. I can doing anything to control you, for example, like that. And for teacher or for lecturer, for example, is I am the teacher, I am the lecturer, so I have the power, I have the authority to control you, etc.
So it seems that this power dynamics, different power dynamics actually occur in many environments, and like all of these are trusted environment that you mentioned, classes, education, family, homes, right? So it's prevalent, all right, the different dynamics. But how can we make aware that you can actually have a consent even though there's a power dynamic in the relationship? And how can we raise this awareness for people that, you know, there's a power dynamic, yes, but you can also have a consent. One, for the perpetrators to not abuse it, and for the people to to have consent and to say no.
Not to fall victim.
Yes.
Yes, unfortunately here we are in Indonesia since we born, since we were child, we are taught to be polite to the elder. We taught to always respect the somebody with the authority. For example, if we answer the dialogue, if we answer the conversation, or we reject the instruction from the elder people or from somebody with authority, we consider as unpolite child,
Correct.
or maybe not funny baby. For example, if we are visiting the baby from our family, like, oh, you are so funny baby, and then the parents refuse the baby to be touched by the other people, and then we consider like, you are not funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it.
So yeah, we are not taught like a consent since we were child. And in the sexual assault cases, the serious sexual assault cases, for example, it is not easy to consider the authority, because the perpetrators always has way to manipulate us. For example, the lecture repress or threaten the victims, threaten the students. I am going to not giving you good scores if you reject my
Right.
one, if you reject my yeah. So if this is happened also many times in religious figure cases, for example, that the perpetrators said that refusing their instruction is categorized as big sin, for example. You know, in West Java, the Heri Wirawan cases that rape many women students there, that they are sentenced to death nowadays, the Heri Wirawan cases. Heri Wirawan always said that I am the man religious leader, and you are as women students should be
Compliant.
should doing what I'm instructed to you, and you will go to the neraka if you
Yes.
refuse my instruction.
Right.
Because that is what Al-Quran telling us,
Right.
like that.
Okay, so it seems to me that this is a very deeply rooted problem. The problem being we're raising our young ones from a very young age to be submissive to authority figures, whether it be from a religious perspective, whether it be from an educational perspective, and even from a family perspective. So what is the best approach to this? I mean, how do we teach our young ones to stand up to authority figures if they cross that line? And how do we teach them where that line is? And how do we teach them to kind of have that balance of still being respectful towards our elders and still somewhat, this is very embedded in our culture as well, but also to, hey, stand up for yourself. If something feels off, then do something about it, or don't let this happen. How do we do that? It seems to be very complicated.
Yeah, actually, we are as activists, or we all start the conversation about consent.
Okay.
Start the conversation about body authority. But you know, in Indonesia, we are always labeled as the liberal group one, or like you start conversation about consent. So actually, do you start the conversation about free sex? Like,
Yes.
what? There is no connection between that. Like, we always labeled the negative
There's a
label
stigma.
in Indonesia here. Yes.
So,
and when we smash the patriarchy, like, you are as women can stand up by yourself, like you can say no, you can fight the conversation that you are not comfortable to belong to the conversation, maybe in the workplace and in the friendship. We are like considered as, oh, nowadays women is like feminist, and feminist is always not fun anymore. Like that.
Right.
So you mentioned two interesting or important terms back then, consent and body authority. So maybe you can share a bit more on what is consent and what is body authority.
Yes, body authority actually is the awareness that we are as human actually. This body is ours, and this authority of ourselves is our rights, 100% our rights. And then if you are not comfortable with conversation, or not comfortable to be touched by somebody, actually you can say no. And consent is must be we have to be in the 100% consciousness when we say we are consent to do something, or we are consent to be involved in some situations.
Got it. But this is obviously a very sensitive issue, and it can involve people of various ages. How young should we teach our children as parents about consent? I mean, they start going to kindergarten or preschool at 4 years of age, sometimes even younger if they're going to preschool. But it seems really young to be talking about topics like this. However, anything can happen, right? When your kids are not around you, they're around other authority figures. So what do you think is the right age to start discussing consent with our kids, and how should we approach it?
Actually, when we talk about comprehensive sexuality education, or CSE, the CSE curriculum is start anytime when your child can, you have communication, active communication with your child. For example, since they are 1 year old or 2 years old, when they start, we can always communicate to them. Start by introduce them with the name of our genitalia, for example. This is actually still become the taboo when we talk the condition in Indonesia. For example, parents in the traditional norm used to call our genitalia by,
funny
for example,
names.
penis as pisang, for example.
Funny names.
Or,
we give little kind of cute nicknames for things.
or vagina as tempe, for example.
Right.
And the other names. If we are don't call our genitalia with the biology or the scientific name, so we can continue the conversation. What is the function, and then what is what is the way to take care of our body, to take care of our genitalia, etc. Because start from the name, we are not taught to call the name by the scientific name itself.
So starting,
I want to just real quick. I want to share a personal experience. Our first child is a girl.
Yes,
we have a daughter. She's going to be turning 8 soon. At around the age of 2.5 or around 3, I can't remember. But right before we started preschool, my wife had already started teaching her the actual terms. Like she used the word vagina, and she said this is what it is. And she also taught a simple, so I just want to share because I think it really was effective in our child. She shared the concept of consent. Maybe at that time she didn't understand what consent is, but the way she did it was real simple. Did anyone help you go to the toilet today at kindergarten? And if they did, how much did they help? This is still you're in charge of this. You still can do this stuff unless you need help. And if you need help, how much did someone help you? That clear, open line of communication between mother and daughter was very important for her to know, for one, how the authority figures are handling the children within her school. And secondly, it allows the daughter to slowly understand that, oh, belongs to me,
The
and
concept
I
of
am in charge of
ownership,
it.
yes.
Correct. I'm the one who decides whether I need help or not, and if I need help, how
I
much help do
wanna
I
add
need?
a little more.
Yes.
I wanna add a little more. Here in Indonesia, even in biological book in school, the picture of our body, the picture of our genitalia even become blurred.
Is that right?
By the yes, we have news about that, and you know that I'm sorry, KPI,
Yeah.
KPI, yeah, we got the woman body blurred. All body, all of women body is blurred on television.
Yeah.
That we know that woman body now is considered as pornography.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so like people are, for example, I think the children questioning why woman body blurred all
Right.
body in television blurred, like what happened to
Is
woman
it bad?
body?
Is it wrong?
This is our body. This
Yes.
is not pornography.
Right.
So,
Makes
I
it
think
hard to learn, doesn't
The
it?
concept of body ownership is very important, and I like the way that your wife did it. So beautiful, you
Yeah.
know, like explaining since your daughter is a kid. Now, I wanted to ask something that's probably a bit more complicated as well. So, when you enter the workforce, or maybe like in educational situation where your performance is actually dependent on those figure in authority, you might have a feeling that, oh, you want to perform well or to do good.
Pressure.
You know, there's a pressure because your action can affecting the performance, right? And sometimes when the individual is on that situation, it's a bit hard to speak up,
course.
especially when there are no system accompanying it, you know, from, for example, the HR, the colleague, or the just employee community. How do you make of that? You know, I'm pretty sure that you're aware of that challenge, especially in the workplace. Hello?
This question is for me.
Yes, of
Hello,
course.
this
Yes.
is.
How do you?
I think the
how-
question is going to Mas Paul.
Oh, no. I wanted to ask you, as an activist and also as a writer, you've seen a lot of dynamics, especially in the workplace, where your actions actually affect performance, and you probably are afraid to speak up, to say no, especially if you don't know where to go to, and you're only facing your boss, right? So how do you make of that? What do you think of the dynamic, and how do you encourage women to speak up?
Okay, the situation that place women to be afraid to speak up usually happen because women is a little number one in the workplace. For example, the workplace is very male-dominated place. There are only 2 women, for example, in the office that has 50 men in the place. So women always minority in the workplace. Women always minority in film industry, in television industry, in engineering industry, in all industry. Actually, women is always become minority, and the minority itself. Not all women actually is educated, is exposed to knowledge about gender equality. So
Yeah.
the woman that exposed to gender equality knowledge actually is very little number in a little community also. So this is the challenge for the challenge actually, and to make a change, we have to educate the women in community to have gender equality perspectives, to have to be brave to speak up, and then the women, the little number of women start to make a conversation to the leader in the workplace. We have to be brave to start this conversation, because if we are not brave to start the conversation, we are not going anywhere to change the situation, to change the patriarchal system. I believe that actually many men, many male in the workplace actually has gender equality perspective also, but they are not brave to start the conversation because the men that are start this conversation about gender equality perspective actually labeled negatively also.
Good
Like,
point.
oh, you are support women.
Yeah, good
Oh,
point.
you are not men anymore.
They get outed
Oh,
by
you
their
are-
male colleagues.
Yeah, or also, oh, are you dating that women?
Oh, my
So
goodness.
you have
Right.
this
Yeah.
gender equality perspectives. You must be take benefit for speak up to this issue like that. So, like men that support women actually has to be support also by the women. So the number of these men, the new men that has gender equality perspective is growing. Like, yeah, we can fight back. We can change the system if we become the majority. If
Right.
the number of us that has gender equality perspective is growing and growing, and we have power. We have more power to start the change.
Yeah, and I think it's very important, although difficult, to start these conversations. You bring up a really good point. It's not just a woman's job to bring parity into the workplace or whatever environment you're in, but men have a role to play in this too as well. Sometimes I always feel like standing by and doing nothing is just as bad as doing the thing
doing
yourself. Exactly. Makalis, thank you so much for bringing some of these very important things to light. We do always appreciate you and people like you to begin these conversations, and we hope that we're able to help as well, and our viewers help start their conversations in their own environments. Thank you so much for your
We
time this
appreciate
morning.
your time.
Take care.